Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
Oh, I never thought I'd be this happy that she cheated on me.
I fell in love with a girl from serious money, while I came from a modest working-class family where neighbors chatted over chain-link fences. Her father, Phil, was a real estate mogul. Mother, Mela, hosted charity galas and flew to Europe for shopping trips. My parents? Dad was a retired teacher. Mom worked part-time at a bakery. We had no luxury, but we had enough, something her family would never understand. I remember the day I fell in love, sunlight streaming through her parents' summer house, her laughter echoing off polished wood floors. She belonged to a world of sleek cars, galas, and wealthy acquaintances who smiled politely but looked down on outsiders like me. That day, none of it mattered. Her shining eyes, her dreams made me believe love could bridge any gap. They tolerated me for her sake, but never hid their belief that a middle-class man wasn't good enough. I remember Phil's stiff handshake when we announced our engagement. Congratulations. We're happy for you both. Then he added with a chill that lingered. We'll see how all this works out. Those words rang in my ears like a warning I should have heeded. A few days later, they sat us down at their polished mahogany table, and Phil pushed a folder across. I have something I need you to sign, he said. Inside was a prenuptial agreement meticulously protecting all her family assets. Inheritances, trust funds, business properties would remain solely hers as separate property. But here's where they completely screwed themselves. The agreement had suspiciously detailed sections about financial windfalls acquired during marriage, including lottery winnings, game show prizes being marital property subject to equitable distribution. The sections about windfalls were incredibly specific, practically zeroing in on jackpot scenarios with formal legalese. Is this absolutely necessary? I asked, glancing at my fiancée for support. Mael's voice was smooth as silk. Standard procedure in well-off families. You understand? My fiancé stood off to the side, face unreadable. I guess it's not a big deal. My parents just want to protect family assets. It won't change anything between us. I was deeply in love and desperate to keep peace, so I pressed pen to paper, forever binding myself to terms I only half understood. Phil watched with an oddly triumphant half-smile. Welcome to the family. 6 months later, we had a lavish lakeside wedding that stunned my blue-collar parents. Imported flowers, 5-tier cake, live orchestra. My father wore his best suit, but looked uncomfortable under scrutiny from distant relatives, constantly asking, "So how did your son meet her?" Despite the tension, I felt unstoppable that day, like we were forging a union stronger than any social. Gulf. We moved into a condo Phil called a gift. In reality, he'd paid the down payment, but I was expected to cover monthly mortgage payments. He didn't phrase it like an ultimatum, simply said, "You'll handle the monthly bills, right, son?" So I did, quietly ignoring the sense I was paying rent on a place he still emotionally owned. They'd drop by unannounced, bringing new furniture that clashed with my style, or rearranging the living room because their decorator suggested better layouts. When I complained, my wife waved it off. They're just trying to help. Our first few years saw typical spats over money and parental interference. I started noticing everything about our life was an extension of their tastes, their control. But I told myself all couples have in-law issues. We'd get past it. 3 years into marriage, my wife calls me at work, trembling with excitement. "You won't believe this. I just won the lottery. $9 million. I bought a ticket at a gas station on a whim, and the numbers matched. I nearly dropped my phone, mind soaring with possibilities. Early retirement, travel, philanthropic projects, paying off the condo, maybe opening my own business. We'd joked before about what we'd do as millionaires. I remember trembling with giddy excitement, thinking life was about to change. But as days passed, excitement wore thin. My wife became cagey about the money, insisting we keep it quiet, especially from my family. She met with attorneys I'd never heard of, assuring me it was necessary to claim the money properly. Shouldn't I come with you? I asked. She shook her head. These lawyers are used to big estates. You'd feel out of place. I'll fill you in after. That stung more than I cared to admit. Over the next weeks, I felt increasingly pushed aside. Each time I asked about managing the money or how it would be handled, she grew dismissive or simply said, "It's complicated." Then one dreary afternoon, I returned from work exhausted. The sporting goods store had been understaffed, and I'd pulled a double shift. All I wanted was to collapse on the couch. Instead, I opened the door to find my wife and her Aunt Linda rummaging through drawers, packing my belongings into boxes. "What's going on?" I said, heart starting to race. My wife straightened up, face set in a hard line. "I'm filing for divorce. Pack your things. I want you gone tonight." My heart plummeted. Aunt Linda, tall and hawkish, swept a critical eye over me. "The condo's in her name, financed with her father's money. You have no right to stay here." I couldn't process it. The woman I loved, who'd just won millions, was kicking me out with no warning. "Please, can we talk this through?" My wife pressed her lips into a thin line. "I'll have my lawyer contact you. Now leave before we call security." I felt my throat tighten. I'd been paying half the mortgage for years, but she acted like it was entirely her property. I grabbed essential items and walked out. My entire life unraveled in minutes. Shaken, I drove to my parents' house. My father opened the door, alarmed to see me with a duffel bag and haunted expression. "What happened?" When I choked out the words, my mother gasped, hands flying to her mouth. My father's eyes hardened, but he stayed pragmatic. "You need an attorney. We have to see how that prenup affects everything." I buried my face in my hands. "That's the problem. Her parents insisted on it. Now I bet it leaves me with nothing." My father paused. "We don't know that yet. Let's find out." 2 days later, I sat in Mr. Carlson's modest law office, blinds casting striped shadows across his desk. I slid the prenup across, explaining how Phil and Mael insisted on it, specifically aimed at protecting my wife's inherited assets. He flipped through pages, then let out a soft chuckle. "They shot themselves in the foot," he said. My heart fluttered with hope. "What do you mean?" He pointed to a paragraph. "They locked down inherited wealth, trust funds, and gifts from her family as separate property, but also included a clause about any windfall acquired during marriage being marital property. That covers lottery winnings, specifically, unless stated otherwise. They were so focused on preventing you from claiming her family's estate, they forgot to exclude lottery gains. You're entitled to a substantial portion of that prize." That same week, rumors began circulating that my wife was living it up with Scott, an old co-worker from her marketing firm. They'd apparently reconnected around the time she won the lottery. A mutual friend, Angela, saw them at a fancy restaurant. "Sorry to pry, but are you two separated?" They were holding hands, looked close. My stomach clenched. The floor dropped beneath me, realizing she'd likely been cheating. Phil didn't waste time with intimidation tactics. He called with threats. "You'll never see a penny of that lottery money. You're a nobody, and I'll use every means to make sure you walk away with zero. I have lawyers and know every judge in town. You'll be bankrupt from legal fees alone." He even called my boss, trying to get me fired. My wife texted, "You can't keep mooching off decent people. My father's done playing nice." I documented everything, forwarding texts to Mr. Carlson. Mael cornered me outside my parents' home, offering a pittance. "Take this and walk away. It's more than you deserve, generous for someone of your background." When I tore the paper in half, she scoffed, ungrateful, and stormed off. At a preliminary hearing, I saw my wife again, arriving with her parents and 2 attorneys. When I confronted her about Scott, she leaned in, dropping her voice to a hiss. "You have no idea what it was like being suffocated by your mediocrity. Scott understands me. He's successful and interesting. I was tired of waiting for you to catch up." My mouth went dry. "So, that's how you see me? A stepping stone?" She shrugged, lifting her chin in defiance. "I see you as someone who doesn't belong in my world." Behind the scenes, my lawyer scoured every line of the prenup, highlighting the clause that read, "All financial windfalls acquired during the period of marriage, including but not limited to monetary prizes, lottery winnings, game show prizes shall be deemed marital property unless specifically excluded." They'd meticulously excluded inherited wealth, trusts, family gifts, but ironically, never excluded lottery winnings. It was a glaring oversight. The night before the final hearing, my wife called near midnight. Against better judgment, I answered, "Can we talk? I don't want things to get messy in court." "Maybe we can settle this ourselves." She offered more money than before, but obviously less than my lawyer was pushing for, wanting an NDA to keep things quiet. When I refused, her voice brimmed with scorn. "You're an idiot. Do you have any clue what my parents can do if they pull every connection? You'll never work in this city again." I hung up, resolve steeled. Court day arrived gray and threatening rain. I wore my best charcoal suit while my wife arrived exquisitely dressed with her parents and 4 attorneys. She shot me a dismissive glance, then turned away with an arrogant hair flip. In the courtroom, her lead attorney claimed the lottery ticket was purchased independently with personal funds, money never intended to be shared. "Mr. Carlson calmly responded, "We have clear bank records showing my client's wife used a joint debit card to buy the ticket." Additionally, the prenuptial agreement explicitly includes lottery winnings as marital assets. Her father's lawyer took an aggressive approach. This man contributed almost nothing to the household, was reliant on my client's father's generous down payment, essentially freeloading off family wealth. Mr. Carlson fired back with receipts for mortgage payments, utilities, groceries. My client paid thousands over the years, contributed far more than they admit. After hours of back and forth, the judge studied the prenup. In reviewing the language, here, it is quite clear that any financial windfall arising during marriage is considered marital property subject to equitable distribution. This court sees no ambiguity. The lottery winnings are indeed a shared marital asset. She also noted I'd been evicted without due process despite financial contributions, calling it both unkind and legally relevant to fairness. She awarded me a substantial portion plus reimbursement for my share of expenses. When the ruling came down, my wife completely lost it. She launched herself at me, screaming, "You worthless scum, you ruined me!" Swinging her purse and clawing at my sleeve while shrieking, "You think you've won? You're just a parasite who fooled everyone into believing you were decent. You disgusting gold-digging liar." Security rushed forward as she struggled, tears streaking down her cheeks, spitting fury. "Let go! He's stealing my money! How can you people allow this? Do you know who my father is?" The bailiff tightened his grip. "Ma'am, calm down or we'll remove you." "Court's over. We don't tolerate violence here." She was cited for contempt and attack in open court, briefly held in custody while the whole unhinged meltdown was witnessed by reporters. Word spread through legal circles, destroying her reputation. A few days later, we finalized the settlement. My father-in-law sat defeated, shoving the check across. "Take it. Hope you're happy." My ex-wife stared blankly, all arrogance gone, replaced by silent defeat. Her mother whispered frantically to their lawyer. When the last signature was placed, no one said goodbye. The family that spent years looking down on me as unworthy got completely outsmarted by their own prenup. They were so focused on protecting inherited wealth, they accidentally handed me millions when their daughter won the lottery and tried to dump me for her successful affair partner.
Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
Remember that sound, traitor? That's me ending it.
I couldn't sleep again. 2:03 a.m., staring at ceiling streaks from streetlights, mind churning. My wife Amy lay beside me, but something felt fundamentally off. After 25 years of marriage, she'd suddenly changed in bed, aggressive, trying new positions we'd never discussed, touching me in ways she used to dismiss with disgust, moaning like she was auditioning for a movie. You'd think I'd be thrilled, but the abruptness raised red flags the size of billboards. Where had she learned this? Why now? A drunk friend once joked, "That's a giveaway. Wife goes from boring to superstar in bed, check her phone." I started noticing more. New outfits, perfumed to the supermarket, Phone never left her sight, changed lock code. The swirling dread intensified each day. I confronted her at 2 a.m. Why have you changed in bed? I've known you for a quarter century and overnight you're someone else. Are you copying something you saw online? Or something you learned with someone else? She kept her back to me. It's 2 in the morning. Not now. It's exactly now. I'm not sleeping anyway. You're not giving me peace of mind. I'm losing it here. Are you messing around? She rolled over. You're being paranoid. Why can't it be that I finally wanted something different? Because you always acted disgusted by certain things. Now you do them like you're reading from an adult movie star's manual. Don't gaslight me. I know you. She threw an arm over her forehead. Oh my God, Chris, enough. I'm too tired for this. That's convenient. Your energy only appears when you're trying out new tricks in bed. The rest of the time, you're exhausted, especially when I want honest answers. She slapped the mattress. Shut up. I can't handle you right now. Fine. Walk away again. Pretend none of this matters. She grabbed a pillow, stomped across the room. I'm going to the guest room. Enjoy your lonely night. I couldn't stop myself. Don't forget to bring your phone in case one of your side pieces texts. She froze, silhouette tensing. You'll regret that, she whispered, tears in her voice. I hired a private investigator to watch you. I'll know everything soon enough. Her sharp intake of breath was audible. She fled, the guest room door slamming, muffled sobbing following. Next morning, I hit the gym with manic energy, avoiding another hostile encounter. Coming home for work papers, I heard voices upstairs. My daughters Julie, 21, and Kate, 20, were talking in hushed, tense tones. Mom is going way too far, Kate was saying. She told me about using that Pure app to meet men. She said it's easier to hide from Dad than I ever imagined. I didn't think she'd do this. My blood turned to ice. Julie's voice trembled with guilt. We kind of suggested it. Remember the open marriage idea? We told her it might spice things up, but I never thought she'd run off hooking up with random guys. Open marriage. The words banged around my skull. My daughters had suggested it. Now she's meeting men behind Dad's back. God, if he finds out we practically gave her the idea, he's going to hate us. I feel sick. Something inside me shattered. My own children had handed their mother the blueprint for this betrayal. We just wanted them to fix their relationship. Mom said she was bored, that Dad never listened. We assumed they'd talk it through. She never told Dad, she just jumped into it. She uses that dating app to find guys for excitement. This is so messed up. I called up. Julie, Kate, come down here now. The silence was instant. They descended slowly, like approaching a firing squad. Julie's face was pale, Kate's eyes glistening. What the hell did I just hear? You two talking about telling your mother to go for an open marriage? You gave her a nudge toward that Pure app? They looked at each other in distress. Julie swallowed hard. Dad, we never told her to cheat secretly. We just said maybe an open arrangement could help if you both agreed. Mom was miserable, complaining you wouldn't try anything new. You realize how twisted this sounds? You're my daughters. You basically gave your mother the green light to screw around. No, Kate exclaimed, tears running down her cheeks. We just mentioned it. She said she'd talk to you first. We never thought she'd do it behind your back. Well, you see how that turned out. She's hooking up with random men. My own daughters inadvertently set this in motion. They tried to approach, arms outstretched. We're sorry, please. We love you. We never wanted this. I couldn't look at them. Get out. I can't stand the sight of you right now. Go back to campus. Just leave me alone. They bolted, tears staining their faces. That afternoon, I met with Jerry, my PI, at a greasy diner. He was in his 60s, eyes heavy with sympathy as he opened a folder revealing stacks of photos, phone logs, transcripts. The top photo showed Amy stepping out of her car in a tight dress I didn't recognize. Another showed her entering a highway motel, arms linked with some bald man. Timestamps just days apart. This here is Derek, Jerry tapped the first picture. They met through Pure 3 different times, local cafe, the motel, his apartment. He shuffled more photos. This man, Luke from Massachusetts. They chose a spot halfway for dinner, then spent hours at a bed and breakfast. 4 hours later, they left separately. But Jerry wasn't done. Screenshots of text exchanges with a user named Nacho Man, real name Brian. Brian, you like it rough? I have interesting toys. Can bring a friend if you want group action. Amy. Haha, not sure yet, but YOLO. You only live once, right? Let's see if I'm feeling adventurous. I felt physically ill. This was my wife, who once crinkled her nose at anything beyond vanilla, telling strangers, "You only live once." When Amy came home that evening, I had everything spread across the dining table. Photos, transcripts, a stark mosaic of betrayal. She walked in, eyes flicking to the table, face paling. What is this? Your side hobby, a thorough breakdown of who, when, and where. Derek, Luke, Brian, aka Nacho Man, recognize them? Her mouth opened, no words coming. Finally, this is invasion of privacy. I let out a cold laugh. Right, my wife hooking up with multiple men is my invasion of your privacy? She glared, tears welling. I told you I needed excitement, Chris. I tried dropping hints. So this was my fault? This is your idea of excitement? I waved pictures in her face. You realize our daughters told me they suggested open marriage? They said you promised to talk to me first. She stiffened, looking ashamed and defensive. I knew you'd never agree. You're so closed-minded. So you took an idea they mentioned, and instead of having an adult conversation, you jumped on an app meant for casual flings. Then you lied for weeks. I had to. You'd have shut me down, just like always. I was drowning in boredom, feeling stuck in the same routine for decades. And sleeping with random guys behind my back fixed that. You let them do things you never even tried with me. That's what I can't forgive. That you unlocked a new side for them and never thought to talk to me. She bit her lip, tears spilling. I was afraid you'd see me differently or refuse me. I felt like I had no choice. You always had a choice. You could have divorced me if you were that unhappy. Instead, you gutted our marriage from the inside out. She slammed her hand on the table. I felt I had no voice. You overshadow everything. I needed to break free. You broke everything. Congratulations. She grabbed her purse and fled upstairs. I sank into a chair, staring at the photos, feeling like a bomb had gone off. Days later, my daughters returned, faces drawn with worry. Dad, we're so sorry. We've barely slept. We never wanted to cause this. You think that helps me right now? I'm furious at your mother for cheating and at you two for handing her the idea. Kate's eyes brimmed with tears. We only had Mom's perspective. She said you were emotionally distant, never listened. We believed her. So your brilliant solution was for her to find random sexual partners? We didn't literally say go cheat. We said if you both agreed, maybe it would help. A friend's parents tried it and it worked. I'm not sure I can forgive you. I love you both, but I can't just forget. You basically validated her stepping out on me. They started sobbing heavily. I fought the urge to console them. I need time. Go back to school. Stay out of this. Let me handle the fallout. They left, tears streaming. I fled to my parents' place with a suitcase. They coaxed it out of me. Amy had been unfaithful repeatedly. I was considering divorce. They were appalled, started calling Amy, saying she'd disgraced the family. When I returned home the next day, Amy was pacing, phone clutched in her hand. Did you tell your parents? They've been blowing up my phone, leaving messages, calling me names. Yes, I told them. They asked why I left. I told them the truth. Her face twisted in rage. You had no right to turn them against me. This is our private matter. Hard to call it private when you're hooking up in motels. You humiliated me, so I don't care about your social discomfort. You don't understand how stifling our marriage was. You never listened to my needs. Everything had to be your way, and I was desperate. Desperate enough to go behind my back with half a dozen men? If it was so bad, you should have left first. I'm filing for divorce. She sneered. Fine. Good luck finding someone who'll endure your uptight, boring style. My boss, Stacy, offered her lakeside cottage as refuge. I arrived with suitcases, still reeling. The cottage overlooked a sparkling lake framed by pines. Despite tumultuous emotions, I felt momentary calm. A week later, I heard a car outside. Julie and Kate stood there, tentative, clutching coffee cups. We're sorry for ambushing you. We really want to talk. Julie offered me a cup. We brought your favorite mocha latte. My anger had worn into exhaustion. I gestured for them to sit. I don't know what to say. You're my daughters, but you pushed your mother toward a solution that didn't involve me. Julie's eyes filled with tears. We were stupid. We thought we were being modern or helpful. On campus, so many people talk about open relationships, it seemed normal. Kate nodded. We never wanted her to cheat. We thought if you were both in on it, it could resolve tension. But Mom just took it and ran. You see how badly that turned out? Dad, we love you. We love Mom too, but we know she messed up. We never wanted you to feel betrayed by us. You might not have wanted it, but that's what happened. Every time I think of this fiasco, I remember you two telling her about that ridiculous app. Anger was ebbing, letting sorrow creep in. I reached across, letting them hold my hands. I'm not banning you from my life forever, but I'm hurting. I can't pretend everything's normal. They squeezed my hands, then quietly left after awkward hugs. As furious and betrayed as I felt, I couldn't deny missing my daughters. Word got around our social circle. Friends called offering sympathy or fishing for gossip. Carol confided that Amy had proudly talked about hooking up with men who had foot obsessions. She posted photos at clubs, hashtags about freedom, pictures with men whose arms wrapped around her waist. I sat with attorney Natalie, bringing PI evidence. We're in an at-fault state. Infidelity is strong grounds affecting alimony, property division. I just want it over fairly. Let me keep my retirement intact, and she can have her share of house sale. Few weeks later, final confrontation at the house. Amy was there when I arrived with a realtor. We need to talk about the house. I'm not cleaning it. You're better off hiring professionals. You're a real estate agent yourself. Couldn't you handle that? I deal with selling property, not scrubbing. I don't owe you anything. You're too busy hooking up with men from Pure to worry about standard upkeep. Her eyes blazed. Stop bringing that up. It's my life. I'm not sneaking around anymore. No, you've made clear you're proud. Everyone sees your new lifestyle. At least I'm not playing sufferer while digging for sympathy from everyone we know. Air felt suffocating. When the realtor left, I grabbed keys and stormed out. The divorce finalized on a cold, gray morning. Amy and I sat silently, lawyers doing most talking. Judge made it official with a gavel. Just like that, 25 years ended in a bland legal proceeding. Outside courthouse, we parted without a handshake. I heard she sold her house share and rented a downtown condo near clubs and nightlife. She wanted her version of freedom. Fine. I was done chasing illusions. My daughters occasionally check in, worried about how I'm coping. Time had blunted anger's edges. They were naive and misguided, not malicious. They tried helping in the strangest, most disastrous way possible, and they're suffering their own guilt. Officially free.
Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
I left you only what you left me, emptiness. Cheating witch.
That night, I asked Tessa what it would take for me to check myself out early. The doctors wanted me to stay another 3 weeks minimum. My leg was still in a massive brace. I could barely walk with a walker. But I needed to move before Barbara emptied our accounts completely. AMA, Tessa said, against medical advice. But Everett, you're still healing, the infection risk alone. I can't stay here, I told her. Not anymore. She helped me understand what I'd need for home care, helped me find a medical supply company that would deliver equipment, even gave me the number of a home health service. I must have made some sound because she immediately started backpedaling. Said she was stressed, said she didn't mean it, but I wasn't really hearing her anymore. I reminded her that my sister had offered to pick her up multiple times, that friends had offered to drive her, that we had more than enough money for gas. Or at least we did before she started making all those withdrawals. 4 weeks in, surgery number 3 on my leg. Still no visit from Barbara. One afternoon, Bernice hesitated before leaving, then asked if I wanted her to talk to Barbara. About what? I asked. The look on her face said it all. About the fact that she hasn't visited her husband in the hospital for 28 days, she finally said. Something broke inside me. Not my heart, more like the bubble of denial I'd been living in. I asked Bernice to check our joint account. Call it a hunch. 2 days later, she brought my laptop and helped me log into our banking app. What I saw made my arterial pressure spike so high that a nurse came running when the monitors went crazy. $6,000 withdrawn over the past month. ATM withdrawals mostly, a few transfers to an account I didn't recognize, and a charge from a jewelry store. Barbara doesn't wear jewelry except her wedding ring and the necklace I got her last Christmas. I was in the hospital for 51 days after a work accident. My wife didn't visit once. When I called her, she said, "You're not worth the gas money. Die fast or heal quick." My stepson took the phone and said, "We don't miss you." I hung up and started planning my revenge. I'm 42M, married to Barbara, 39F, for 8 years. She brought her son Gage into our marriage when he was 8. I really tried with that kid, built him a treehouse, taught him to fish, helped with homework, the whole stepdad package. We weren't exactly relationship goals, but I thought Barbara and I were solid enough. We had our routines, inside jokes, our life together. Everything changed 51 days ago when a support beam gave way at my construction site. Crushed leg, 3 broken ribs, punctured lung. The doctors later told me I was lucky to be alive. Not feeling particularly lucky these days, TBH. First night was fuzzy from pain meds. Called Barbara, told her not to bring Gage because it looked bad. She said she'd come in the morning. Never showed. Days turned into weeks. She always had excuses. Gage had stuff, dishwasher leaking, our dog Curtis was sick, he wasn't. My sister Bernice visited daily. The nurses started giving me pitying looks. One of them, Tessa, would sit with me during breaks sometimes. 3 weeks in, I was finally moved from ICU to a regular room. By then, I'd only gotten Barbara on the phone twice, both calls under 3 minutes. She always had somewhere to be, something to do. That night I couldn't sleep, kept thinking about our 8th anniversary just 2 months ago. Barbara had seemed distant, checking her phone all night. When I asked if everything was okay, she smiled and said, "Of course, why wouldn't it be?" Weird response, but I let it go. Foreshadowing much, FML. That night, I made the call that changed everything. When I asked when she was planning to visit, she said, "Look, the hospital's 40 minutes away. Gas is $5 a gallon. I'm basically a single parent right now." That's when she said it. "You're not worth the gas money, Everett. Either die fast or heal quick, but I'm sick of this in-between nonsense." Then Gage got on. "We don't miss you. Mom's friend Silvio has been helping with everything." Silvio, our neighbor who moved in 6 months ago, always offering to help Barbara when I worked late. I hung up without another word. The next 2 weeks were a blur of physical therapy, doctor visits, and secret planning. I told hospital staff not to give Barbara any information if she called. She didn't. Had Bernice bring me documents from our home office while Barbara was at work? I made some calls using Bernice's phone. Meanwhile, I started tracking the bank accounts daily. More withdrawals, more unexplained expenses. A charge for 2 plane tickets to Cancun. Barbara hates the beach, says the sand gets everywhere. One afternoon, Bernice came in looking nervous. Said she'd driven by our house and seen Silvio's car in the driveway at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday when Barbara was supposed to be at work. I didn't explode, didn't cry. Instead, I felt this strange calm settle over me, like everything finally made sense. Day 51, I signed myself out against medical advice. Still needed a walker, leg, and a massive brace, but I couldn't stay there anymore. Bernice picked me up and drove me to an extended stay hotel instead of home. "You're going nuclear, aren't you?" she asked. "I'm going to give Barbara exactly what she deserves. Nothing more, nothing less." Operation Empty House began. From the hotel, I hired a lawyer named Reggie. We documented everything: the house, cars, bank accounts. Barbara thought I was still in the hospital. I texted her saying reception was spotty and I'd call when I could. She replied with a thumbs-up emoji. While she planned a girls' weekend in Nashville, I planned my exit. Found an apartment, arranged movers for Saturday while she was gone, made detailed inventory of what was mine, what we bought together, what was hers. Saturday came. Bernice confirmed Barbara's car was gone. The movers were efficient, took my bedroom set from before marriage, office setup, tools, left her vanity, clothes, craft supplies. Even left Gage's stuff except the gaming system I'd bought him last Christmas. Curtis came bounding downstairs when he heard my voice, nearly knocked me over despite my crutches. 80 pounds of pure canine joy. That moment almost broke me. By 7 p.m., the truck was loaded. Did one final walkthrough, Found our wedding photo on Barbara's nightstand and left it. Let her deal with that memory. At 6:47 p.m. Sunday, my phone exploded. Barbara was home. "Where is all our stuff?" "What did you do?" I didn't answer. Turned my phone off after the sixth call. Bernice sent me doorbell camera footage of Barbara screaming on our front lawn. "He took everything." Even the goddamn dog. The next morning, I had Reggie send Barbara a formal letter explaining what I'd taken and why, along with divorce papers. 3 days later, Gage called from an unknown number asking to visit, just to talk. He showed up wearing the hoodie I'd gotten him last Christmas. We sat on my balcony drinking sodas while he told me the truth. Barbara and Silvio had been together almost a year. He'd overheard them talking about my accident being convenient. The "we don't miss you" line wasn't even his idea. Barbara coached him, promised him a new gaming system if he said it convincingly. Barbara called that night from another new number. We talked for 2 hours. She admitted everything. The affair started 9 months before my accident. She was planning to divorce me, but then I got hurt. If I died, she'd get insurance money. If I lived, she'd have to split everything. That's why she never visited. She was hoping I wouldn't make it. The Cancun tickets were for her and Silvio. The jewelry was for him. She told me all this because Silvio had broken up with her the day after I moved out. Apparently, my psycho move spooked him. "Why tell me this now?" I asked. She laughed hollowly. "Silvio's gone. I'm alone in a half-empty house with a son who barely speaks to me." 2 weeks after the move, doorbell camera caught Barbara sitting in her car in my visitor parking lot for 3 hours. That night, she called from yet another new number. Her voice sounded different, subdued. She asked about Curtis, asked if I was healing okay, then went quiet. Finally, she said she'd tell me everything if I wanted to know. No more lies, no more games. Let that sink in. My wife of 8 years was actively hoping I would die. A week later, Gage asked if he could stay with me on weekends. Said things at home were tense. Barbara drinking more, crying at random times, picking fights. I checked with my lawyer. Legally complicated, but doable with Barbara's consent. Surprisingly, she agreed. I cleared out the second bedroom, set it up for Gage. First weekend was awkward as hell. By the third weekend, we'd found our rhythm. Friday night movies, Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday dog walks with Curtis. Meanwhile, divorce proceedings trudged forward. Barbara contested some property division initially, then suddenly dropped it. Signed everything without further argument. 6 weeks after the move, I ran into Tessa, a nurse from the hospital. We met for coffee. Nothing romantic, just two people catching up. She mentioned a support group for people recovering from major injuries and life changes. 2 weeks later, I found myself in a community center meeting room surrounded by strangers with their own stories. 3 months post-move, things were settling into a new normal. My leg was healing, still with a limp, but no more crutches. The apartment actually looked like someone lived there. Then came the day of the final divorce hearing. Courtroom was smaller than expected. Barbara sat across the aisle wearing a dress I'd never seen. When our eyes met, she gave a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Proceedings were anticlimactic. Judge reviewed our agreement, asked a few questions, then made it official. 8 years of marriage dissolved in less than 30 minutes. As we walked out, Barbara stopped me in the hallway. She handed me an envelope, said it was a copy of our wedding photo I'd left behind. Said she thought I might want it someday. I thanked her politely and walked away. The photo went straight into the trash when I got home. That evening, I got a text from Gage asking if our weekend plans were still on despite the divorce being final. Something about that message hit me hard. I texted back, "Of course. Pizza and movie night tomorrow. Your pick this time?" The next evening, as Gage and I sat on the couch with Curtis sprawled across both our laps, I found myself actually laughing at some stupid joke in the movie. That's when it hit me. I was going to be okay. Last week, Barbara finally sold the house. Yesterday, I had my final physical therapy session. Therapist said I'd made remarkable progress. I credited spite and stubbornness. She called it resilience. So that's where things stand. Divorce finalized, house sold, physical recovery on track. Gage visiting regularly, Curtis thriving, me finding my way forward one day at a time. Oh, and Tessa, we've had coffee 6 times now, dinner twice. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. She came over last weekend and taught Gage how to make homemade pasta. Kitchen looked like a flour bomb exploded, but it was the best meal I'd had in months. Barbara still texts occasionally about practical matters. Our conversations are civil but brief. The anger has faded to distant acknowledgement. We were part of each other's stories for a while. Now we're not. Someone asked recently if I regret how I handled things, if Operation Empty House was too extreme. Maybe it was, but I don't regret standing up for myself. Don't regret showing Barbara exactly what life without me looked like. In the end, she found an empty house. I found myself again. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Your comments and support got me through some really dark days. Not sure I'll be posting more updates. Hoping my life gets boring enough that there's nothing worth sharing. That sounds pretty good right about now.